I am Jaka Sisijete and this is We Talk. We Talk is a 20-minute talk show that airs on the Fatu Network every Friday from 3:30 p.m. to 3:50 p.m. It's a talk show that focuses on the challenges young Gambians go through in order to make a difference in their lives and their society. We create a platform wherein they can share their achievements and setbacks, be it entrepreneurship, entertainment, educational, activism, and the like.
Suma loxo si kaw nga gis ma I'm a proud Gambian xamee ma sax si wax jëf ba si xar kanam ma ne yàgg naa di fight kii ak a gëm askanam bañkat ba dee pour Gambia ak bépp Gambian suma loxo si kaw nga gis.
Hello viewers, welcome to We Talk with Jaka Sisijete on the Fatu Network. On today's edition we have Aisha Jawara. Now Aisha is a young author who has recently launched her second book, The Oath. The Oath is a book that is filled with trials, betrayals, triumphs. Now as you know, publishing a book goes through a lot of journey filled with challenges and all. So we have Aisha here to talk about those challenges and how she got to overcome those challenges as well. Aisha, it is nice having you on the show.
Nice having you too, Jara. How are you?
I'm doing fine, and yourself?
I'm great.
Great. So we'll take a short break and look at her biography, and when we come back, we'll have a good interview.
Aisha Jawara is a Pandora's box with many hidden talents and skills. She was born a Pisces and raised in the Gambia. She did her primary and junior schooling at St. Teresa's School, where her interest in writing started. She pursued her high school diploma at Ndao Senior Secondary School, and after sitting for the WAS exams, she took her own initiative and secured an intern position at Commune as a sales assistant. She then worked with Reliance Financial Services as a senior credit officer and at the same time at Paradise FM as a part-time DJ. It was during this time that she launched her first novel titled The Last Custodian, which was the first of a trilogy. She went to Nigeria, then to Ghana to study, and upon return, she worked with Vadenzil Gambia, an advertising company, and there she worked as an administrative officer. She is now working with Megabank Gambia Limited as a marketer in the business development department. Throughout her many endeavors, she has never stopped writing, as writing isn't just what she does, but part of who she is. The Oath Must Be Fulfilled as Promised is the first piece of the Oath saga. The second piece, titled The Oath Fulfilled, will be released in 2019.
Welcome back. That was indeed an interesting biography of Aisha Jawara. Now, Aisha, let's get to it. How did you start writing? How did the whole idea of, or the interest of writing came about?
Yeah, you know, as a kid, you would remember when you would start writing, but I would tell myself I've been writing most of my life, you know, because basically I started writing my own book when I was 13, but then I was writing way before. When I go to Arabic school, they tell me histories of the prophets. I write them down with my pen. I've always found history classes or storytelling very interesting. I write them down from my grandmas and the aunties who came from the provinces. I see them talk about our people, our history, and that is very inspiring to me. I've always been writing them down, but for me to actually start writing my own stories is when I went to, when I started high junior schooling, I went to a library, and then I went to this library once. I saw this book, Narnia.
Okay.
The Lion
Very
King.
interesting. Very interesting book.
I saw that book, and the book really, I was captivated. It was like a awakening call. I was entering the school, I was in the library looking at something, and it was like the book was literally calling onto me. That's how it feels like. But the moment I opened it, I just told me that I don't know whatever I'm going to be in the future, but writing would definitely be one of them.
Okay, so as a kid, all those stories you used to write down, did you go to show anyone, or you just wrote them and just kept them to yourself?
The books I wrote, I showed to my relatives, like my siblings. Okay. I had them, you know, they were books, and in the end, eventually they got like old and some got torn off, but thank God for laptops, right?
Yeah, thank God. Exactly. I mean, now the digital technology has made everything easy. You could just type and then save it, and then everything is there. Exactly.
And it will get torn off. It's not a paper, it's a laptop. So I was writing since then, but my siblings, it was only my siblings that got to see it. That was a copy that I had when I was in primary school. I showed it to my principal. He saw it, but I think he's about one of the oldest people who saw it then. But I don't think many people saw it. I was mostly writing for me because I like going back to it and reading it and laughing to
You
myself.
just found comfort in writing.
Yeah, it was
basically.
like I was like basically living in my own world when I'm reading.
Okay,
or
so
writing.
as a kid, you obviously had your favorite authors. You had people you looked up to. Whenever you read their stories, you were amazed. Who were some of those authors? Your favorite novels?
Narnia, C.S. Lewis, who wrote Narnia. Narnia is why I started writing. C.S. Lewis passed away, I think, ages ago. But his book, I connected to it. His book is about like magic, mysteries. I've always liked those kind of things.
I could even tell from the book, the ode, that you actually do love mysteries.
Mystery, love, sorry, obviously love, but power, witches, spirits. I like those kind of things, spooky stuff. So Harry Potter was like a whole new world for me. I'm sure it was for so many other people, but seeing a bigger book and in series, J.K. Rowling just killed it. I saw that and I'm like, oh my god, I definitely have to be like this lady
Just
one day.
something unusual, different from what other people bring.
From the reality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how long does it usually take you to write a book?
3 months tops.
3 months stop. So your first book, which is
The Last
Custodian, it took you 3 months to write it.
It did. I wrote that when I was 13.
Can you tell us more about The Last Custodian?
It's a story about 8 students. Students say 8 kids who came into this world born differently. They definitely knew they had some distinguished powers in them, different from the real powers. You know me and my spooky stuff. All of them have different talents, different things that they're good at, but they do it at the extreme. Like if you can run, they run faster. If you can disappear, if you can hide, they can actually disappear. Yeah, so I have like 4 boys, 4 girls who came into this world to do something huge, but then because it was something that was premeditated. History talked about it a long time ago. Some witches and witchcraft were expecting them. Okay. So they come in the human form and this is about them fighting together to do what they came to do, even though they don't think it is that, because some people, usually people find it hard to believe in prophecies and they don't want
exactly.
to. Yeah,
true.
So
That's
they don't want books to decide what they are going to do. They tend to do things exactly as the book said, but they still deny the fact that it is.
So at what age did you exactly wrote your first book?
That was when I was 13.
When you were 13, The Last Custodian?
Yeah.
When you were 13. But when did it finally got to be published?
That was like 6 years ago now. It was published by Majaga Publishing, and owner of that company, sorry to say, passed away, Har Majaga. We were supposed to, it's a trilogy, it's not just one book.
Oh, okay.
We're supposed to do up to 3 copies, 3 books, but then after the one, unfortunately, she passed away.
So how do you get to blend in work and then other activities and then writing your novels?
Tell me about it. It's so hard. I'm a banker. You know how demanding that job is. So it's not easy, but when you love doing something, you don't find it as a work. You do it because you want to do it. So you always find time. When you want to do something, you always find time. And because I love writing, I don't see me a day going home without opening my laptop to do something, because I get inspired almost every day.
Okay. So the ideas, your story ideas, does it come in your sleep or does it come through the environment, your environment?
It comes through everything, like music, movie, streets. I see kids in the road dancing or singing and I'm like, I'm totally gonna write that.
So you literally have a pen and a book with you all the time. So whenever you see something, you're like, okay, let me get it down.
I just write the main thing about it, and then I come and sit down and develop it, make it into a big thing.
So what do you like apart from writing?
I do many other things. I like banking because it's basically what I did right after high school. I was studying my courses, but I was banking as well. So I also obviously like choreographing. I teach kids how to dance.
Oh, great.
Love that one. Okay, and I also I host shows, and I've been a DJ before.
We can already see that from your biography too.
Yeah,
very true.
I love doing all of these things that I've tried before. So I like, but most of them I like writing more. somehow, and my friends say I'm boring because of it.
It's what you see yourself, like it's more like your relaxation zone.
It's like
writing.
my own area, my own world.
Okay.
My friends say it's boring.
I don't think writing is boring.
Yeah.
Coming to that, I see to it that a lot of people, let me say students in the Gambia, they don't find pleasure in reading.
Tell me
what do you
about
have to
it.
say about that? I mean, I think it's nice having young Gambians such as you coming up with stories and writing it down and having it out there instead of having Nigerian books in our syllabus and all of that. It would be nice to have more Gambian books in our syllabus. What do you have
I
to
have
add about-
so many where it comes from. In the head, like I have 23 novels in my head, and they are different stories. Like this one is just one, and it's a 2-book piece. So I don't know what to tell our youths for them to finally get it, but writing is actually somewhere you can learn a lot from.
Exactly.
You can like be smart just by reading. Every time you'll be the smartest. You wouldn't know, though you can tell sometimes when you're in the class, because you study, you get to be answering the questions every time. But writing is more than that. Writing is everything people
Does it
don't
have
know.
to do with the laziness or what? I mean,
I don't know.
literature is beautiful. You have
The
literature is
storylines
just
are amazing.
beautiful.
Storylines get to me. I don't know. Every time I hear people talking about something, I just want to know what it is and see if I can take some little something and add a little something and just make a story out of it. It's usually very interesting. But our people don't like reading. Our youths, they hate reading, I would say. Because I was distributing some of my books that was donated to some of the schools. And then the principal was like, oh my God, I wish I could get you to come in here sometime and talk to these kids. Because like you people, maybe your time you were reading a little, but now they don't do it at all unless it is for them to pass exams. You know, you have to read
So
so
do
you
you
can pass exams.
usually go like have like sort of a mentorship or like talk to young people out there to encourage them to read? Have you ever done something like that?
I have been teaching before. I've taught English before, and I remember doing that during those times when I was volunteering to teach. But I haven't been presented with an opportunity where I would go talk about how important writing and reading is. But it's just like they say, our African people. They say if you want to hide anything from a black man, you hid it from in the book.
Exactly.
And they don't see it.
It's the last place they would always look.
But they have no idea. The books have they have keys to so many things that are around us.
And these are books that when you read it, you could actually just read it and then find yourself in the story. Because just looking at the story idea and everything is just amazing.
It is.
So now let's talk about the ode. Let's talk
Yeah,
about
the
it.
ode.
Where did the idea come from? The ode, like the storyline, the setting. How did it all come about?
The old definitely came from my grandmoms, or sorry, some of my great aunts who came from the village. They would come and talk about our caste system, how people used to live by them back in the days. How if you're a slave, you have no right to dream.
Yeah, we
How
have a lot of that.
Exactly. They'll come and say, because you're a blacksmith, you can't mingle with the noblesmen. You know, it was something that was intriguing to me. And she was telling me about so many bad things they were doing to people because of this caste system. Imagine how it is now, thank God. But even
we
though
still have things like that
that's what I'm
happening
saying.
right now.
It's not that much, but imagine how, like then, they were living by it. Their life are determined by what caste you have. You get to be in the classic world if you're a nobleman. If you're a servant or a peasant, you're going down. You're in the
more
farmer.
like you're entitled.
You're a servant.
Exactly.
You're not supposed to do anything else. So that was very intriguing to me. Imagine. So this story is based on those times. When your life is being determined by your caste system. If your father is a slave, you're a slave. You have to do what your father does.
Exactly.
So this story is about a slave man who gave his life for the king.
The king, exactly.
Yes, and he said on condition the king should promise him that him and his clan will be removed from slavery, because his whole life he's been working as a slave, and they don't get paid slaves.
Exactly.
It's
It's more like your life, what you're going to do throughout, from when you were born all the way to when you
Tell me
leave the
about it.
world.
That's it for him. So he realized he's done nothing but serve the royalty and normal noblemen. So he requested for the king to remove him from slavery. For that he would give his life.
to acquire
the spirit.
exactly.
Yeah, I can
Very
see it.
interesting. I
So-
actually started reading it, and it's quite interesting.
It is. You're gonna like it. I'm still getting feedbacks from people, and they can't wait to see the second piece of the book. Yeah, because the king promises the slave to remove him from slavery, but not until their seventh generation, because he can't promise. He can't do it now.
It's a
For
whole process.
Exactly. Plus, it requires for a king to marry a slave from a Ture clan, and that is like a forbidden thing. So he didn't want to have to go through all that. He just said in seventh generation, hoping that by then it will be less, less discriminative, no too much trouble. But then he went home and was convinced by his Gibeah to change the promise, make them royal slaves instead of noblemen. It's too much to make a normal slave as a nobleman. It's just a taboo. The Gilead can't imagine him singing for a queen or a king who is having a slave blood.
Exactly.
It's like they say it's dirty. Like they are so low, there's no way I'm gonna go sing for this guy. And because of that, the Gilead was able to convince the king to not do it. And the king accepted. He thought making those Ture people the royal slave, which was above just being slave, was okay. But then before he died, the guy that died on his behalf,
The
spirit
slave,
came
exactly.
and said,
So that's where betrayal comes in.
he came in and said, yeah, the
He broke
betrayal.
his promise.
Yeah, and he was so making your clan royal slave was not enough. He's like, I wish like I was happy that the ghost was telling the king that he was happy when his clan was removed from slavery to that of royal slave. That was okay for him. But then because he made a spirit the witness to the whole thing, that spirit won't have it any other way. So it's not up to him now. It's the spirit that is insisting that the oath that the king took is fulfilled as promised. So then the story is shifted to 7th generation from then to the time exactly when the Tures are supposed to marry, and then there's
So you
this
have
conspiracy.
The trials coming in, and you
The
have the love
wicked
story.
Koro queen and the love story between
Yeah,
the prince and the
if
slave.
if you actually want to know more about this interesting story, you should get yourself a copy. You definitely have to. So let's talk about the moral of the story. Like you mentioned, it's about the caste system. So what's your central idea about that? The moral, I just want to say, like, us human beings are all equal in front of, like, in The eyes of God.
and the eyes of God.
Yep.
So I don't know back then how things were for it to get that bad, but then the moral of the story is you don't have to deprive yourself from dreaming because you're a slave caste, or you're a blacksmith. You think you're a lower caste. I think you need to make sure you live up to your limits.
Yeah.
Okay, live for as long as you want, so long as, like, you don't let any of this casting get in your way, in your head. Let it stop you, deprive you from dreaming or doing what you want to do.
So let's talk about challenges, but before that, we'll take a short commercial break, and when we come back, we'll hear how Aisha got through her challenges, and then maybe you could also learn one or two from that. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Hello, I am Jacqueline Sijete, and this is We Talk. We Talk is a 20-minute talk show that airs on the Fatu Network every Friday from 3:30 p.m. to 3:50 p.m. It's a talk show that focuses on the challenges young Gambians go through in order to make a difference in their lives and their society. We create a platform wherein they can share their achievements and setbacks, be it entrepreneurship, entertainment, educational, activism, and the like.
Suma loxo si kaw nga gis ma I'm a proud Gambian xamee ma sax si wax jëf ba si xar kanam ma ne yàgg naa di fight kii ak a gëm askanam bañkat ba dee pour Gambia ak bépp Gambian suma loxo si kaw nga gis ma
Welcome back, viewers, from that short commercial break. Now let's go back to Aisha. Aisha, before we come to the challenges, there's so many African authors such as Chinua Achebe, you have Chimamanda. Growing up, did you go to learn from their books and all of that?
Who hasn't? If you went to school, then you definitely heard of Chinua Achebe. And Things Fall Apart was the famous one, and the one story that I like in all of his stories, all of his books. Things Fall Apart, Okonko, these are stories that I read and got inspired by, even though it was the times I started writing my own books, not something I heard from someone. Reading that was part of me growing up.
Okay, you felt a sort of connection.
Yeah,
right?
you know, because he was African, he had this father son. Okonko, I don't know. I can still remember the way he walks,
Yeah,
the way it was
exactly.
described in the book. I've loved most of Chinua Achebe's work, and I'm so glad that I had to go through, because it was part of our syllabus in junior school. So it was a must for you to go through it. I'm just so glad that I was one of the students who had to like go through that before, like to get inspired to write more, because it definitely helped in my writing career.
Great. So, being an author is not easy. You go through challenges, starting from writing to the publication stage, selling the books and everything. It comes with a whole lot of big deals.
Yeah.
So, what were some of the challenges you had, and how did you go to overcome those challenges, Aisha?
You know, when I started writing, then there was no computer. I mean, 2003, 4, computers were just coming, but in the whole school there was just one.
Yeah.
So when I wanted to write, because then I was used to writing with pen, but it gets there when I'm reading it to my siblings, because I do that a lot. When there's no light, then there will be no light, and they'll come to me, hey, tell us a story, and I'll be reading from the book, and they're all listening to me say it. But eventually it gets tiered and taught, and I won't be able to get a copy of it. But then the challenge would be there. Before I was able to own my laptop or my own computer, I would walk from here to Abuko sometimes, to a school there, and write one of my books. Sometimes I went all the way to St. Peter's to write in their computers.
Oh, wow.
I was struggling but I was doing this out of fun, because whenever I see the computer, I'm like, hey, I can save this in my CD, or I can just have it saved there. So long as I wrote it once, it's there. That is the first challenge. But then because when I started publishing was in the in the 2010s, 2015. Publishing is the hardest. Going through writing, after seeing what I had to go through in publishing, it told me writing is the nicest part. Even in my book here, in the acknowledgement, I'm like, writing is so easy to me. It comes easy. It takes 3 months, and I get ideas and I just pump them all in the paper. But then publishing, you go through hell.
Wow.
And then tell me about, after you publish it, having to get people to buy it and read it and give you feedbacks. That's so hard, but it's good. It's good on one side, because you feel like you've achieved something. I've had up to 20-something novels in my laptop, and two of them have started coming out. First is a trilogy, Last Custodian, and this is the second one.
Okay.
The fact that people know about it and I get feedbacks, it's very relieving.
Okay.
I get sometimes, like from sales, when I'm not able to get some of the cashes, I sell the book sometimes in credit, and when I'm not able to get my money back, I feel so down, and then I'm like counting on something because I'm probably supposed to pay a debt or something. I don't feel so good about it, but then I get the feedback, and then it tells me writing, publishing, all the pain I went through is totally worth it.
So feedback is one of the coping mechanisms you got.
Yeah,
from it.
it helps. It helped me a lot, because like you said, the challenges are overbearing. I went countries just to get people to publish my book. But then it was a yes today and a no tomorrow, or maybe a yes today and be like, hey, we'll see about it tomorrow.
But you never gave up.
I never gave
kept
up.
on going.
Rather, I got more inspired to write stories. Like I wrote about all those things in a different story, characters. So all of that becomes worth it when you get a feedback. When people call me, because I have my numbers in the books, and they call me and be like, Aisha, when is the second part coming out? I just feel like, my whole world's turning around. I'm sitting on cloud 9 right now. For like, the work was totally worth it. That's how good it is.
Talking about sales, how far have you gone with that?
Sales have been it has been very, say it's very basic, it's okay. I'm not saying it's that big, but it's okay for now, because it's way better than the first book sales. First book publication, getting people, I don't even have an idea as to how it all goes, because it was published by someone else. But this one I get to keep tracks on everything. So I see where the money is coming from, where the money is supposed to come from. I'm glad that people are requesting to get it so they can pay it later. It's a good thing. I see students wanting to read my book, not most of them, but the fact that they try to want to read it and make an attempt to buy the book, it makes the sale a bit easy too. None of the steps are easy, but selling
So
the books.
how much available is your book? Like, is it available online, like soft copy, or is it just hard copy? And if it's hard copy, how can one get the oath?
The oath can be gotten from Timbuktu.
Okay.
And it's also in most of the schools in Combos. So most of the schools in Combos, but Dari will be for students. If you want a copy, you may have to go get it from Timbuktu or just call my number.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it was supposed to be on soft copy, but due to some little technical issues, we're still not able to get it online. But hopefully, before July, when the second piece is coming out, we'll be able to.
So how much does a copy cost?
$400.
Yeah, that's not much. I mean, as a student, not just students, but as individuals such as me, I like reading too. I love reading.
You do?
You could actually, yeah, I do. I love reading novels. In fact, I do write sometimes, but it's only when I'm all too hyped.
No, it's not easy to find people like you out there these days.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying you do.
Yes, I do.
not.
Exactly. Okay, so finally, Aisha, what advice do you have for young people who are out there and they have passion for writing, but some way or the other, they're holding back? What advice do you have for them to become better at writing?
Okay. First off, you need to start reading.
Okay, that's true.
I'm not saying that because I want you to buy my book, but you really need to start reading. The youths, basically, not to the writers. I'm just talking to the youths in general. Like, reading is a very good educating mechanism. I don't know what I just said, but I'm pretty sure you get what I'm saying.
Exactly. I mean, it's true because you get to learn a lot when it comes to your grammar, the exposure, and everything.
I saw me speaking good English, and I get people asking me, "Are you sure you're from this area? Like, where did you go to school?" I'm like, "Hey, I went to Laos right here."
Okay.
So reading is that. But then for the writers out there, I only have one advice for you: never give up. I mean, the challenges are crazy. I went through hell, but I am happy. I am where I am today because I didn't give up. And I'm not giving up. See, this book, the part 2, is coming out, and it will be in July. Why? Because about 50 people, like, randomly called me on the phone and asked for it.
Okay.
You know? Because of that, I'm definitely getting it out there so they can read it.
So
I'm telling you to never give up.
So
Never.
when will we be expecting more books, like apart from the old, more books? You said you have about 26, is
23
it?
books.
23 books. When are those books going to be out?
Now, I made it my business to make sure every year one of my book is out.
Great. Amazing.
Every year.
That's very
Because,
amazing.
you know, when you keep saying, oh, it's so hard, it will not, it will stay hard. But if you tell yourself, like, you're determined to do it, and you get so many nice people out there. Like, there are people who are willing to help someone who is willing to do something, like writing. I came out and told my friends in the Sarakule community that I wanted to write, and they were all over me. Like, you're bringing out a book. They helped me. They gave me some money. They helped me with the publishing,
I
actually.
mean, having a Sarahule like you writing a book is
Yeah,
amazing.
it was a big deal for
great.
them. Yeah.
It's great. We should have more Sarahules out there writing too. I mean, you don't have that every single day. They must
Yeah.
be proud. I am
Yeah.
proud.
You have so many nice people.
Yeah.
I know that once you make an attempt to do something, like once you make an attempt to publish something, so long as you let your people know, they will definitely
Support.
help. I mean, I don't know, I thank God for that. I have amazing friends, amazing people that I know that would always be there for me anytime I need it. So I am going to see to it that I'm not going to sit back and say, it's so hard. Not anymore. I'm going to publish a book every year.
Great.
From now on.
Amazing. Amazing. That was Aisha Jawara. Aisha, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you
It was
anytime.
really great
It was
having
so
you.
nice having you. I know
Great.
you, so this was so easy for me.
Great. It's great.
So that was it, viewers, with Aisha Jawara. If you want a copy of the oath, it's quite easy. Just rush to Timbuktu. And like she said, never give up. All you have to do is just keep on striving. If you have a dream, walk towards it, and inshallah, you will achieve it. That was it from We Talk with Jaka CCJT on the Fatu Network. Till we come your way next time, you'll have a great weekend. Hello, I am Jaka CCJT and this is We Talk. We Talk is a 20-minute talk show that airs on the Fatu Network every Friday from 3:30 p.m. to 3:50 p.m. It's a talk show that focuses on the challenges young Gambians go through in order to make a difference in their lives and their society. We create a platform wherein they can share their achievements and setbacks, be it entrepreneurship, entertainment, educational, activism, and the like.
Suma loxo si kaw nga gis ma I'm a proud Gambian xamee ma sax si wax jëf ba si xar kanam ma ne yàgg naa di fight kii ak a gëm askanam bañkat ba dee pour Gambia ak bépp Gambian suma loxo si kaw nga gis ma